All right, guys. So George Janko had on Bobby Lee on his podcast. So if you don't know what the drama is, basically George Janko, who used to be on Logan Paul's podcast, they had Bobby Lee on, and Bobby Lee basically mistreated George the whole time. He went so far as to, basically like sexually assault him. Like apparently he grabbed his penis and whatnot. I will say, as far as him like touching his leg and stuff like that, if you actually watch the podcast near the beginning of it, Bobby Lee asked him if he could touch him, and George said yes. But apparently, and again, this is like almost kind of alleged stuff. Although Mike Malmjak, this is so much stuff. I hope you're all caught up because I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it. But Mike Malmjak did not deny the allegation that George levied that Bobby Lee grabbed his Johnson, and apparently they cut that out of the podcast. So that's pretty crazy, wacky stuff, wacky, insane stuff. And I guess now George is having Bobby on the podcast. I'm curious to see how they address it. It kind of seems like it's only like the first bit of the podcast, so I guess we'll watch that bit, like the first 8 minutes or so, or 6 minutes, and then we'll probably leave it at that. Not gonna watch their entire podcast. All right.
From Craigslist.
Dude, dudes like this in porn have the biggest penises.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
No,
I haven't either.
Me neither.
Yeah, I don't look at that. But my point is,
could you get Tommy away from me?
get Tommy away from. I love
I'm
Tommy.
trying to have like a moment. Tommy, go over there, buddy.
So George, we'll talk about other things, but I want to open up by saying that I'm sorry. I feel I just want to break down what happened with the Jake Paul podcast.
Got it.
Okay.
Well, I'm so sorry that I assaulted you, I'm so sorry. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I know that George talked about how he was never mad at Bobby Lee or something. So, I mean, if George feels that way, if he just kind of wants to let water under the bridge or whatever, that's like up to him to forgive Bobby Lee. But I will mention that Bobby Lee is just a gross person in general. Like, there are videos of him straight up sexually assaulting women in interviews on TV. Like, where, like, he'll kiss them when they're clearly uncomfortable. Like, there's this really damning one where, like, the lady is, like explicitly saying that she sat away from Bobby Lee because of how he acts. And Bobby goes up and like hugs her when she's uncomfortable, and he starts like kissing her ankles and stuff. Bobby Lee's not a good person, straight up. Like, I don't care if George Janko forgives him or whatever. That's fine. Bobby Lee is a bad person.
So I usually do podcasts in my ecosystem, right? So it's like I know the rhythms, and I know what I can and can't say, and generally, everything, is.
That's like, what? In what ecosystem is it okay to grab somebody's penis without their consent? What are you talking about? It's like some Harvey Weinstein shit.
People are pretty open to. They know who I am, right? But with you guys, I didn't know, so I came. And also, it's a huge platform. So I was like super nervous. So I
What?
I tend to get bullyish and out of survival. Okay.
And you looked at the weak calf. I get it, dude.
You're not a weak cat.
No, I get it, dude. I get it, dude. I would do the same thing if I saw him. No, you can't eat him.
Okay.
Stop.
So anyway,
Tommy,
I can get a taste.
Save my dog. Get him out of here.
He'd be so delicious, though.
Dude,
I just
would.
took his tongue.
I saw you lick him before he licked you.
Yeah. God, no MSG or anything. I love it.
So like, is that really like his excuse when he goes on to like TV? He's like, oh, I was just so nervous. I had to kiss a woman against her consent. I had to like crawl on my knees and kiss her ankles when she didn't want to. I had to do that. It's a fight or flight defense. What do you want from me? Is this really what he's going with?
But anyway, so when number one, I don't even I do so many podcasts. I don't even remember what I said or did or didn't do. I remember moments.
You couldn't just watch it before you went on this podcast? You're saying that you don't even remember what you're apologizing for?
And also, secondly, when you walked off the set, I literally was confused by it. I don't know the drama behind the podcast. I know that you had written this speech.
I wish I had writers for it.
Right? And you know what I mean? I thought the comedy instinct was to say that it was like boring or whatever, and I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And the third thing is that, and I truly don't remember, and it is on brand, but I don't remember ever trying to touch you. But if I did,
That's like, what do you mean if you did it? Just watch the video. You could probably find like compilations of it. This is so, ugh.
that I literally don't remember, but if I did that, I'm sorry. I do it for comedy reasons.
You can't grab somebody's Johnson for comedy reasons. That's not comedy. That's just assault. What are you talking about?
I don't know anything about your religion or who you are. In fact, I didn't really know who you. I know who you are now, but I didn't really know who you were. And but with all that being said, I really truly apologize. I mean, I love people. I love podcasting, and I think that you're a voice that people talk about now, and you know what I mean. You're here, and I just apologize. It's like
Now that you have clout, I apologize. When you're clouded up, I at that point I feel like I have to respect you. When you're clouded up, I won't grab your Johnson because I know you. If I don't know you, I feel like I can grab your Johnson. But now that I do know you, don't worry, your willy is free from my grasp.
Thank you, bro.
I'm sorry.
All joking aside,
Seriously.
for real, I really appreciate that. Can I tell you what really, really hurt me though? I ain't Ringo, bro.
You're George Martin.
No, do you know what I'm talking about or not?
No, but
What
with you, you mean with you?
You called me Ringo.
I know. So who are you, George Harrison in that?
I'm George Janko.
Okay, you're George Janko. But so I referred to you as Ringo in that podcast.
That was the only thing that hurt me. I was like, I feel like I'm not Ringo. I feel like I'm.
Well, I mean, you're not John Lennon.
Get out.
No. In terms
Get
of
out.
Between you.
No. Between all of them.
Yeah.
I'm definitely John Lennon.
Oh, you really?
I know.
So who's Ringo?
I mean, I don't know. Like, again, George can do whatever he wants, right? Like, he was like the victim. Because, by the way, you know what? No, he was the victim. And you want to know what's actually going on here as well. And I'm not even one to usually go here, but there is an element of sexism here, right? The fact that George, and again, by the way, to be clear, right now I'm specifically talking about how people like perceive it, right? I'm talking about how people are perceiving it. Because George is a man, it's not seen as that big of a deal. But if Bobby were, because by the way, he's gotten away with doing weird stuff with women, as I've talked about earlier. But like, if Bobby went so far as to, on a podcast, right, or on TV, like grabbing a woman's breasts, or like doing the Donald Trump move of grabbing her by the you know what, I really do feel like even as crazy as Bobby Lee is, his career would be canceled. But because George Janko is a man, it's fine. It's fine. George Janko can forgive him, and it's fine. And again, I'm not saying that George Janko can't forgive him. He can do whatever he wants, right? He's the victim here. And I'm not going to couch my language. He was the victim. But I'm just saying, as like in terms of public perception, Bobby Lee's like skirting free with this when I don't think he should be.
Who's Paul?
Paul.
Oh, I was just making a reference to a band, but okay, I get what you're doing.
Logan Paul is Paul.
Oh, Logan Paul. Oh, Paul. Logan Paul. And Mike?
The groupies.
Whoa. He just did this, didn't he? Yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's be serious. Bobby,
This is a different side to you, dude. You really got to make me mad.
Bobby,
Yeah.
I knew exactly who you were. And I said this on the episode with Mike, and I'll say it again in front of you. Oh, I do appreciate your apology. If it was me and you and we were just messing around and we were like having a podcast and you kept grabbing me because I know your comedy, I wouldn't be bothered by it. I know who you are. I know your comedy. I've seen your podcast.
I mean, Bobby George in his other podcast, he says that he was mad because he couldn't punch Bobby. This is like a weird flip-flop here. I don't know. It feels like a weird flip-flop where wait, is George saying that he's like fine with the penis grabbing? Because Bobby Lee, like, there was a lot of him like grabbing his leg and his arm and stuff like that. That's one thing. George says that Bobby grabbed his Johnson. Is George saying that he would have been okay with that? Because in the previous podcast with Mike Malzhamik, George said that he was upset because he couldn't punch out Bobby Lee for grabbing his Johnson out of fear of losing his job. So I'm not sure what this is all about here. I don't know.
Podcast. What bothered me on that episode was my friends weren't being friends.
Didn't back you.
They didn't back me, bro.
Yeah.
They saw that I was actually going through things and they stepped on me when I was down. And it just felt like I wasn't in a place where the people around me wanted me to succeed. I apologize that you kind of got caught in this whole drama that we were all put into, but
I mean, this could very well just be like a clarification here. Like, maybe when he says that he wanted to punch out Bobby Lee or whatever, it's because maybe he's more so upset that he couldn't do that because of how his friends aren't having his back. I can see what's going on here.
I just want to let you know, before, after, and during, I'm a fan of you, man. I really am. I like your comedy.
You're gonna make me cry.
No, I really am, bro. I really am.
Yeah. Thank you. And let's just put it behind us.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this is where I also don't really like George Jankman either, because he really likes to talk about how, oh, I'm a Christian. Oh, I'm such a good moral person. I'm a Christian. And then he'll like talk about how he likes people like Andrew Tate and now Bobby Lee. Listen, when it comes to Andrew Tate, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to sit here and say like that I know whether or not he's going to be like technically, found guilty as a human trafficker under Romanian court. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. What I do know is that Andrew Tate is on camera admitting to lying to women, telling the women that he loves them, right? Getting them to fall in love with him, convincing them to fly out to Romania with the express purpose of convincing them to do sex work. Lying to them with the express purpose of convincing them to do sex work. Whether or not that's technically going to end up being considered as human trafficking, I can sit here and say that Andrew Tate is a scumbag. Whether or not, and then when we're talking about the sex work itself, Andrew Tate is on camera bragging about how he is taking advantage of lonely men, right, that are consuming the sex work, messaging them, pretending to be the girls, getting them to further fall in love with the woman, and sending them more money. Like, Andrew Tate is a scumbag. And I'm saying like George Janko, like Like I watched a video where like George Janko was really difficult to like understand what he was saying because he was gargling Andrew Tate's nuts. But when I played it back a few times, I was able to kind of understand what he was saying. He was like, man, Andrew Tate's such a great guy. Andrew Tate's such a cool, great guy. And I'm like, what? You're a Christian. You're constantly talking about and virtue signaling about your Christianity. You're telling me that Andrew Tate is a great guy? Bobby Lee, as I've talked about, is a scumbag who sexually assaults people. And George Janko can feel whatever he feels about his own experience, right? He can consent to it. Other people that are on camera not consenting to it cannot do that. Right? You can't do that. As a Christian, you're saying that you're a fan of Bobby Lee? Now, to be fair, he's saying that, he's a fan of his comedy. But like for you to have this person on your podcast and be friendly towards them, it's a little weird. That's a little weird to me. Now, hey, maybe George has never seen those clips of Bobby Lee, but when he interviewed Andrew Tate and he talks about how he prepared so much for his interview with Andrew Tate, you're telling me that you don't know the ins and outs of the Andrew Tate case? And you're saying that he's a great guy? So listen, whenever I see like all of these like religious people that will just glaze Andrew Tate and just lodge his Johnson just like straight into their throat that you can barely understand what they're saying, I'm like, yeah, you can actually can it with the religious virtue signaling, brother. You're not really as morally virtuous as you say you are. But anyways, that's just me. That is how I see these situations. You can let me know what you think about it in the comments down below.
Let's work together in the next few years. You know, I'm going to get out of the business at one point.
Why?
Especially podcasting. It's a very toxic environment, and
That's crazy. I wonder who makes it toxic.
gotten a lot of.
Can I get your autograph?
Yeah, sure.
It's Pam. What do you want in life, Kevin Bonner?
DM saying that if you try to grab me, I'd fucking break your wrists.
So sad.
That's a reasonable reaction, actually.
Like 20 of them. You know what I mean?
Hold
Bro,
on.
try. A lot of DMs saying that if you try to grab me, I'd fucking break your wrists.
Yeah, that's reasonable. You're toxic. You're the one that's making it toxic by grabbing people, by touching people. What are you talking about?
So sad.
Like 20 of them. You know what I mean? Bro, try to, which I don't even remember doing. And I was like, kind of, I didn't even know what the fuck it was for a while until I went, did I? I don't remember, but.
I actually, it's so funny. Here.
And I asked my assistant to look it up, and she's like, I didn't see that. You know what I mean? And I was just like,
this is, I mean, I feel like this is just dishonesty. I mean, what?
oh.
Here. I was going to go into this whole, like, retaliation, but I do have receipts, and I have the clip as well.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah. Oh, no. I have receipts. I just didn't want to do that. Wasn't my whole, like,
Let's move on from that. If I did, I did. I'm sorry.
No,
because
No,
I
because
do
people-
it to
people
make
are
people
questioning
uncomfortable
it.
and make it be funny.
Yeah. People were
What?
just...
Nobody's even who's questioning that. I guess except for Bobby Lee. Like whether or not he grabbed him or not isn't even a part of the conversation.
making it seem like I was making it up and making these things up, and I wasn't grateful for the situation that I was in. And all I wanted to do, Bobby, was like, and I think me and you could see eye to eye on this. There's comedy.
Hold on. Nobody was saying that you were making up the fact that he was touching you. People, if anything, were saying that you were playing up your like financial situation. And like Logan Paul also talked about how he would reach out to you. So this is, again, this kind of feels like George being dishonest here a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
For short?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And also, it's just kind
You
of
have
like...
a pudgy dick or?
No.
Okay.
It's
It's not long though.
It's long.
Hold on, wait. What is he
For
saying
the
here?
situation that I was in. People were just making it seem like I was making it up and making these things up, and I wasn't grateful for the situation that I was in. And all I wanted to do, Bobby, was like, and I think me and you could see eye to eye on this. There's comedy that absolutely,
Okay.
yes, and also it's just kind
You
of
have
like
a pudgy dick or
no,
okay?
it's
It's not long though.
It's long.
There's no way it's long.
I could show you.
I don't want to see it.
I mean, you grabbed it.
I didn't grab it. I didn't grab it. Let's move on. I really don't remember, but okay.
Is it true that you really don't?
Well, did he just show him a video of him touching him or grabbing the Johnson? Okay, I don't know.
Look at your bank accounts and you don't like you just I feel like you run
Okay,
on
is that it? I don't know. I'm just gonna be honest here. I don't like any of these people. Like obviously Logan Paul is a scumbag. Obviously the Mike Malzhimakamuka guy, like his only existence is just to suck off Logan Paul like he's one of Andrew Tate's sex workers. And in my opinion, George is also not like an especially great guy. I mean, I guess he's better than Logan Paul by default. But he doesn't seem to be like a very honest person in my opinion. And yeah, Bobby Lee's also a scumbag. Yeah, content creators in general just suck, don't they? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you disagree with what I've said in this video? I feel like I've done a decent job of supporting my arguments here and in my dislike of all of these people. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Bobby Lee and George Janko's situation in specific, George Janko obviously has the right to feel however he feels about his personal interaction with Bobby Lee. I more so just have umbrage with how the public reacted to it. How they didn't make it seem like it was as big of a deal. Like, again, I feel like if George was a woman, Bobby Lee's career would have been over. And then even if even if George is okay with it, Bobby Lee has done this to other women and other people that are not okay with it. So there's that. But yeah, let me know what you think about everything in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.